Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. It is the instant match reaction. Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 1 this evening at the City Ground. I don't know if I can put into words just how important of a win that is for Sean Dyche's Everton side. Not only because it takes us within touching distance of being out of the relegation zone, not only because obviously it puts us above Burnley, who have won emphatically today, Sheffield United too, but also because, as we spoke about last week, the longer that it went on without Everton picking up a win, post obviously the points deduction news, the more and more pressure that would be piled on this team, this manager and this football club. The longer it went without Everton winning games of football, the more intense the situation became, the more anxious fans become, and the more pressure was piled on absolutely everybody. We've known we've needed to go and get that first 3 points in the bag. I honestly think that today could be a catalyst. Now the players have gotten that first win once again back after, as I said, the points deduction. The confidence will be there, the belief in themselves will be there, the manager and his system work perfectly. The players, as I said, their confidence and their belief in themselves will, if it had left, which, as we spoke about last week, I'm not entirely sure that the whole everybody is still in the same frame of mind as they were 2 weeks ago was the case, because I think the performance against Manchester United could show that there was a little bit of anxiety and there seemed to be more pressure in that moment in that game than there had been in the previous few weeks, whereas today it was another absolutely fantastic win and a good performance all round as well. Nottingham Forest deserved absolutely nothing from that game whatsoever. They were atrocious today, and last season when we went there, it was a very different game. It was very cagey, it was end to end, and although I think Everton were the better team on that day as well and probably should have got more, Nottingham Forest showed their quality and ultimately made Everton pay. And it's a very similar Nottingham Forest squad. I know obviously they sold a couple of players in the summer, but to go there today and perform like that with everything that had been going on in the background, with the noise, with the pressure, with the 10-point deduction looming and hanging over our heads, with last week's defeat obviously being so hateful after all of the protests prior to the game, etc., for the players to go out there today and put that performance in and win like that is absolutely huge. I thought the game plan worked perfectly. I thought the manager's game plan away from home once again was absolutely spot on. We just are very good away from home, aren't we? We're much more suited to playing away than what we are at Goodison. Even individual performers are much better away from home than they are at Goodison. I think Abdoulaye Doucouré, although I think some of his touches today were a little bit questionable and he had moments where you sort of thought he should do better there, I still think he was much more involved today than what he was last week. Last week, it was almost like he couldn't get in the game, he couldn't find himself, he couldn't find his feet. Today, even though it wasn't always perfect, he was involved, he was in the game, he was battling, he was putting himself about. I thought Idrissa Gana Gueye was absolutely phenomenal again today, obviously stepping into Amadou Onana's boots. And to say that we were missing our number one striker and probably our number one midfielder, or certainly in the top two midfielders of the football club, to say we were missing both of those players, and we went into this game today with all of that pressure on us, plus missing a couple of key players through injury, the performance was absolutely fantastic. It wasn't always an outstanding game of football to watch. It wasn't always breathtaking. Forest did have moments in the game ultimately where they looked, like they were dangerous on the attack. They looked like getting forward. Jordan Pickford has made an absolute world-class save to deny Anthony Elanga, I believe it was, and with 10 minutes to go, he's rushed out brilliantly. He's read the situation brilliantly, and it's something that Jordan doesn't get enough credit for. If it was certain other goalkeepers, Aaron Ramsdale, Nick Pope, it'd be all over the paper as to why he should be the England number one. But when Jordan Pickford does it, it doesn't get noticed. It's an absolute world-class bit of goalkeeping by Jordan Pickford. It really is. He made another one from the centre-half who'd had a good game for them just after that as well. And everybody sort of played their part. Everybody worked hard. Everybody battled. Everybody fought. Everybody, worked to the manager's plan. And ultimately we come away with what we deserved. I'll be honest, if I was going to sit here this afternoon and speak about Everton not winning this game based upon the game I've just watched, I'd be disappointed. If Everton had come away with a point from that game, I'd have been massively disappointed, because it would have represented itself as another opportunity for us to win a game that we haven't won. We were the much better team. We created more opportunities. Forest, as I said, had very little in the game. I'm absolutely over the moon that we've managed to find a way. The goal, of course, Dwight McNeil, thought he was much, much better today than what he has been in the last couple of weeks or so. We spoke about him and Jack Harrison, against Manchester United, and how they just weren't as involved as what they typically are, and weren't as involved as what we would like them to be. Well, I thought Dwight McNeil today was much, much better. Still not massively pleased with Jack Harrison, I'll be honest. I think his performance was subpar. I think he was quite lucky to stay on the pitch for the entirety of the game, really. Personally, for me, I'd have taken him off at half-time. I think that right-hand side is one that needs addressing, even though we've won the game today and we weren't put under a huge amount of pressure down that right-hand side. I think a better team than Nottingham Forest really punished us today down there. I just don't think Ashley Young and Jack Harrison are any form of combination whatsoever. Jack isn't playing particularly well at the moment. He's clearly not confident. He's clearly not comfortable, and I don't think Ashley Young is either. So yeah, changes needed there. But even though it wasn't the most perfect performance, I think the players dealt with the situation perfectly. As I've said before, I'm sorry, but if you genuinely believe that that group of players and the manager reacted to that 10-point deduction by going, oh well, nothing's changed, we're still going to do what we're going to do. Yes, they're going to come out in the media and tell us nothing's changed. Yes, they're going to come out in the media and say the focus is still winning games of football, we still are in a good a good situation, we're still in good spirits, etc. Because they can't come out in the media and do an interview and go, oh well, we're all absolutely fucking fuming at Finch Farm, we're gutted, we're wounded. And to be honest, a lot of us are thinking, what's the point? Because that the reaction that would be catastrophic on the football club and catastrophic on the fan base. But there's no way in this world that, given what those players have been through in the last 2 seasons, given what us fans have been through in the last 2 seasons, to be hit with a point deduction for something that wasn't their fault and something that, let's be honest, doesn't warrant a point deduction, certainly not of that magnitude, it obviously will have had an effect on them. It obviously would have knocked their confidence, it would have knocked their belief, it would have made them feel like, well, do you know what, what's the point if we're going to, put a good run of form together, get a couple of good wins under our belt, work hard, play well, fight and win games, difficult games, and then it's all going to stand for nothing because we're going to get points taken off us for something that isn't our fault. What's the point? And I think that win today, as I said at the start of the video, the reason why I think it's so big is because it could be a catalyst now for the players to look and think, no, do you know what, there's still a job to be done here, and we've shown again that when we work hard, when we play well, when we work to the manager's game plan, that we will win a lot of games of football this season. And as I said, I wasn't massively convinced of the whole Everton will stay up, Everton will be fine, because you've got there's teams that are worse than them in the league. As I said on Friday during the preview, for me there was more than 3 teams worse than Leicester last season, but Leicester went down because Leicester were one of the worst 3 teams in that moment, but also because of the pressure and the situation and various other different circumstances as well. Like, you can't sit there and tell me that Bournemouth are a better side than Leicester, or had more quality than that Leicester side that went down last season, or teams like Fulham or teams like Forest who stayed up. Even ourselves, player for player, that Leicester team had a couple of really, really talented players in there that have since gone on and obviously made moves to the Premier League and done really well, but they still were relegated. And my point is that you cannot overlook the impact of something as catastrophic as a points deduction can do to the mentality and the feeling around the football club. And the longer that it went on without Everton winning a game of football, the longer that situation would go on as well. And as I said, the more and more the pressure would pile on. So it was really, really important that we got that win under our belts. And after last week, I was thinking, are we going to see a performance next week away from home similar to one that we'd seen in previous years, where we go away, we work hard, we battle, but we don't take our chances and we ultimately lose the game? And at half time, when Beto's missed an opportunity that he should do so much better with, Dwight McNeil's had one cleared off the line, I was sitting there thinking, it would be devastating if we lose this game, because A, we deserve to win it and we should be winning it, but B, it would knock the confidence hugely once again. But thankfully we haven't. Thankfully Dwight McNeil has pulled out a vintage Dwight McNeil shot, an absolutely fantastic goal, cutting across the goalkeeper. Reminded me of his one against Brighton last season, one of the 5 against Brighton, but his last one where he was just running at the goalkeeper and he made the angle tight for himself. And I remember the commentator saying, oh, he's made this too tight for himself, and he just blasted it into the top corner. And he's done that again today. And ultimately he's the hero today, and thanks to him we've come away with 3 points. And as I said, I thought he was much, much better. I seen a bit of stick towards Dwight McNeil on social media at half time. I thought he was very, very good today. Thought he worked hard, thought he put himself about, thought a lot of our positive forward play come through Dwight McNeil on the ball, playing passes. It didn't always go perfect for him. There were a couple of moments where he lost the ball, a couple of moments where he was dilly-dallying in silly areas and ultimately was found out for it. But you know, it was a much better performance than any I think he's given this season. I think that's arguably Dwight McNeil's best performance this season, and he's got the goal that he truly deserves. But yeah, as I said, a fantastic win, one that we desperately needed. Still tweaks to be made, of course. Still, I think things to work on. I think that right hand side is a massive worry for me because, as I said, not to be negative, I just think that a team better than Nottingham Forest today would have hurt us down that side. I thought generally defensively we were really solid. I don't think Ashley Young was as bad as he has been. I think there was a couple of moments where Anthony Elanga got the better of him and obviously beat him for pace, but you would expect that. I'm not going to sit here and slag Ashley Young off for being beaten for pace by a 23-24-year-old when he's 38 years old. We all know that. He knows that he shouldn't be playing in that position. It's down to the manager as to why he is. But defensively as a unit, I thought everybody was solid. As I said, Young had a relatively solid game. Yes, he made mistakes. Yes, he brought Elanga down in the opening 10 minutes, which I thought was going to result in a yellow card. Yes, there was a couple of moments, but he was never really troubled down that side. I thought both centre-halves were really solid again. Brantwaite and Tarkowski, brilliant. I thought Mikalenko was absolutely fabulous again. There was a moment I think it was in the second half, where Morgan Gibbs-White was running down that right-hand side with the ball and Mikalenko was alongside him, and 12 months ago, Mikalenko would have been bounced off the ball in that situation and he'd have been beaten for pace and he'd have been outstrengthed and an opportunity would have arose. But he didn't. He stood up strong. He was, level with him, and then he ended up bouncing him for strength, winning the ball back and giving it to Jordan Pickford, and the situation was completely resolved instantly, and that just shows how much Vitaly Mikalenko has improved of late. He's been absolutely fantastic this season, and today again, he was pivotal. The midfield was important today for me. The midfield was really important. I know it's an old cliche saying in football, games are won and lost in the midfield, etc, but our midfield was fantastic today. James Garner and Doucouré. As I said, Doucouré had his moments where his touch wasn't quite great, or I think he panicked a little bit towards the end of the game when he had the ball at his feet, because there was a couple of moments where he took a few risks that he shouldn't have taken. But James Garner and Idrissa Gana Gueye both were outstanding. James Garner was back to the James Garner that we had, prior to the points deduction. We spoke last week about how he wasn't massively involved. That was a James Garner performance of 4 or 5 weeks ago, when he was the absolute best player on the pitch by a country mile. Again, today, throwing himself at everything, battling, winning the ball back, winning fouls, committing fouls in places that he knew he could get away with it without putting the team under pressure. Absolutely fantastic performance by him. Garner complimented them absolutely brilliantly as well. And yeah, I thought we controlled the game, and that was the key word. The first half, yes, Forest had a couple of moments. Forest had a couple of dangerous sort of attacks, if you like. But I thought for the majority of the first half, Everton were in control. Everton with the team pressuring them. Everton with the team winning the ball back when we didn't have the ball, running, fighting, pressing up. When we did have the ball, we were trying to create stuff. We were trying to play through the middle. And I think the midfield deserve a huge amount of credit for that. And Dwight McNeil as well, because I think Dwight McNeil was a big part of that. Forward line, yeah. Obviously we've spoken about Dwight McNeil. Beto, yeah, look, I don't want to sit here and jump to any form of conclusion or have a go at him or say, oh, he's terrible, he's this, he's that, he's that. Listen, I challenge somebody to name me an Everton striker who had longevity at the football club and who came into the team and instantly hit the ground running. Because from what I remember, Lukaku at times struggled in his first couple of seasons. I'm not comparing him to Beto. Lukaku was different class to what Beto is and different class to what most strikers were. But the point is he had moments where he struggled. Dom had moments where he struggled. I think it's just a case of being patient with Beto. He's going to take a long time to settle into this league. His touch isn't great. His movement isn't great. His awareness, but it wasn't great today. Maybe he had an off day. He's not played a lot of football. It's not like we've got a massive sample size to go off. He started today, and yes, you could say, well, this was his opportunity, and he didn't really take it, Cam. Fair enough, but, again, to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe he just had an off day. Maybe he just wasn't particularly, on it, but he did have a couple of opportunities that he should have done better with. The one in the first half is a golden chance that he should do better with. The one in the second half a little bit less. But yeah, I think it's clear who Everton's first team number one striker is, and I think that was clear before today as well. I don't think there were many of us that were sort of humming and hawing about whether or not Beto can challenge Dominic Calvert-Lewin. The reality is, when Dominic Calvert-Lewin is fit, Dominic Calvert-Lewin plays and Beto doesn't play. Now, what Beto does is offers you an option when Dom is maybe struggling or touch and go, to not have to use Dom, because what we've done in previous years is we've put Dom in those situations. He's ended up further injured in himself and being out for 5-6 months, whatever it might be. So I think what Beto does is offers you somebody to put in there when Dom is maybe a little bit touch and go, so you don't have to risk him. He's at the moment, maybe in the future, who knows? As I said, maybe when he settles in, maybe when he's had a few more games under his belt, who knows? But at the moment, he ain't going to be somebody that is picked above Dominic Calvert-Lewin if Dom is 100% fit. But he is a nuisance. He puts himself about. He creates a situation where two defenders are focused on him as opposed to one, because of his size, because of his physicality. But on the ball, he wasn't great today. That's I think that's fair to say he wasn't great. But you know what? We've won the game. And he might say, well, do you know what? Although I wasn't great on the ball and I didn't take my chances, I put myself about. I made a nuisance of myself. I roughed them up. I give them a few kicks, and I generally made them feel like they just couldn't be bothered being there, the Forest players. And if that's the case, then fair play to him, because I do think Forest were extremely poor today, and I remember being at the game last season at the City Ground, and there was just so much more freedom in the way they play, so much more confidence, so much more desire. And even though they weren't a great team then, they believed in themselves, whereas that today, it just didn't seem like they believed in themselves at all. But I don't care. I could not care less. I couldn't care less if they don't win another game this season and they go down. What I cared about is Everton winning, and Everton winning a game of football that A, we deserve to win, and B, we had the opportunities to win 2 or 3 or 4-0, and I think if that game had ended 4-0, there wouldn't have been anybody that would have said, oh, that's a little bit harsh, because we had those opportunities. But look, I'm not greedy, and ultimately I'm not going to sit here and be fuming or be discontent because Everton haven't put 3 or 4 past Forest. Clean sheet, another win away from home, fantastic 3 points, and one that hopefully now can help us put aside the points deduction and sort of forget about it for now, because let's be honest, this isn't going to be resolved until way into the new year. We're not going to know whether or not it stands. We're not going to know whether or not it doesn't stand. But I wouldn't even adopt the mentality of, I heard the commentators say today, the players need to adopt the mentality of that the points deduction is going to stand, so that they're not going to get the points back, so that they need to pick them extra points up. I don't even think it's a case of that. I think what these players need to do, and I think the manager will just listen to them, is just forget about where we are in the table, because let's be honest, it's not a true representation of how well we've played this season. It's not a true representation of the games we've won this season and how well we've fought and battled away from home. The table means nothing at the moment, absolutely nothing. It's a fake, false representation because of a disgraceful decision by a corrupt organisation. And what we need to do as fans, players, manager now, forget the table. Where wins or lose, forget it. Don't even look at it. Don't look at it when Burnley win, Luton win, whatever. Forget it. Just focus on ourselves, or focus on going out there and winning games like we did today. And if we do that, not only will we be okay, but obviously we'll be able to sort of forget about the pressure and build on the confidence instead. So there you go, huge win for us today. Absolutely fantastic win, brilliant goal as well to win it. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. We'll be back with the play ratings very shortly, so look out for those. But yeah, get in, up the fucking toffees. I'm made up with that one, because that is huge. That is huge. The circumstance, I don't think has been taken into consideration enough. The amount of people I've heard going, oh yeah, but it's all right because Everton, the nonsense of this is the best season to have a points deduction. This is coming from fans of clubs like Manchester United, who, when the referee looks at one of their players the wrong way, they start crying. So don't listen to any of that. It's never a good time to get a points deduction, and obviously it had a huge effect on everybody at the football club. The best thing we could have done, the medicine to be able to combat that, was to win that first game of football back, and then now hopefully we can just focus on getting those wins under our belt. So yeah, up the toffees, get in. Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 1. Yes. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you very much. Didn't mean to point then. That's a little bit rude. I just meant to say thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Up the toffees. See you after.